Cucurella as he collects possession in the Chelsea left-back area on the near side. He hoists the ball high up into the air. It's a dark and chilly night here, and the ball spins off Veltman and drops out of play for a Chelsea throw. Gusto, Chalobah, Colwell and Cucurella at the back. Caicedo and Fernandes in the middle. Madueke, Palmer and Neto behind, and Nkunku up front. We've got a great view here. We're right behind the two head coaches, only 5 or 6 rows from the front, next to the supporters who've come to watch Brighton from the so-called Tunnel Club area. And we're right behind Enzo Maresca and Fabian Herzler. Boos for Cucurella in particular, and some for Caicedo as well, up against their old team. And Nkunku tracks back up to the midway point of his own half. Chelsea with easy possession inside the first minute, and it is Brighton 0, Chelsea 0. Early ball hoisted high down the Chelsea left. Neto after it down by the corner flag, and across came Yankuba Minte, who got a touch on it out of play at the expense of a Chelsea throw. Brighton 0, Chelsea 0. Scott.
Well, 2 things. One is a great little ping there from Levi Colwell over the top. And Pedro Neto, for sure, would be looking to use his pace in behind. Normally prefers it on the right-hand side, but playing on the left with Noni Madueke on the right-hand side. The other thing I'd say is those 2 players being booed, they did get Brighton about, what, £165 million?
Well, they didn't do badly on the playing field when they were here either.
No, they didn't.
Colwell's got the ball in the centre circle. Another former Brighton player, a loanee in the 2022-23 season. Chalobah on the halfway line, back at Chelsea after his loan spell away at Crystal Palace early on in the season. In terms of possession in the first couple of minutes, it's been almost all Chelsea. 1 or 2 latecomers to the stand in front of us here. Brighton fans surround us as Colwell goes back to Philip Jorgensen, who Enzo Maresca has said this week is very much the #1 goalkeeper for Chelsea in the Premier League. And Chelsea could close the gap on Nottingham Forest in 3rd tonight. They are in 4th position, and it does feel like they have a real possibility of qualifying for the Champions League, even despite patchy Premier League form of late. Brighton's form has been worse than patchy, 2 wins in 12, but Europe's still in their sights. Caicedo over halfway for Chelsea, raining down the far side of the field, darts in field and sets up Palmer on the edge of the box. That's Palmer's area, but he can't keep the shot down. It's high and wide and into the north stand behind the goal. Brighton 0, Chelsea 0, live on TalkSport. 3 minutes gone.
What a run for Malo Gusto. He must have run about 70, 80 yards there down the right-hand side when he received the ball. And then he's just sprinting down the wing. Can't be caught. And there comes a point where you're thinking, OK, this can develop into a wonderful opportunity. Cole Palmer gets the touch. And he had a few shots from just outside the box last week. Not quite able to get proper control on that shot. Should be hitting the target there for someone of his quality.
Chelsea won the ball back immediately, but go back into their own half the field, and the tall, rangy Chalobah steers it up to the halfway line where Malo Gusto is waiting. Quick ball from an infield position to Nkunku. Palmer breaking in between the lines, inside right channel, taking on Adam Webster, who's replaced Lewis Dunk tonight. The Brighton captain is out injured. Weaving, twisting and turning Palmer down by the dead ball line. Webster on his backside. It could drop for Cucurella on the edge of the penalty area. Knocked away and away from danger, at least for now, by Carlos Baliba at the expense of a throw to Chelsea on the near side there left. But that footwork from Palmer was so mesmeric that Webster couldn't even keep his feet.
No, he couldn't. See you later. And he certainly won't be wanting many one-on-ones with Cole Palmer. And look, the stats suggest he's been just as good, even though he's not been scoring the goals.
And Madueke scampers away down the right-hand side, and this time Webster times his challenge well, sliding in firm but fair. Been at Brighton a long time, Adam Webster, and out to play for a Chelsea throw on that far side. Chelsea beaten here in the FA Cup last weekend, but have started much the better in the opening 5 minutes, still 0-0.
Yeah, Cole Palmer, as I say, OK, he's not quite been scoring the goals, but the stats do suggest that he's still been creating the chances, and it's the other Chelsea players, Tosin in particular, that haven't been putting it away. But boy, has he started well, and boy, have Chelsea started well as well. You know, Brighton playing at home, but they're absolutely just got mid-block. Chelsea are dominating possession at the moment.
QPR against Derby is our other commentary match tonight on the network, live over on TalkSport 2. John Eustace taking charge at Derby for the very first time, just a day or so after being brought into the job, the now former Blackburn Rovers manager, and that will be on TalkSport 2 tonight. Just download our free app and you can swipe between both stations this evening at your leisure, as well as across the whole of the weekend. Another bumper weekend of live football on the network. Brighton 0, Chelsea 0. Veltman in the right back position, turns and plays it backwards to Van Hecker. High ball up towards halfway, the header infield by Yankuba Minter. Danny Welbeck, the Brighton captain, brings it down. Henshaw over the top. Good flighted pass out to the Brighton left. Far side of the field is Karu Mitoma. Gets there easily with Gusto nowhere to be seen, and now backing off as Mitoma darts into the penalty area. The angle was against him, and in the end, between them, Gusto and Madueke did just enough to get the danger away.
Yeah, Madueke did well there, because Mitoma, not only was it a good ball over the top from Hinshelwood, but he sort of ran at pace. Now Gusto just dropping off, allowing him to go at pace, and if it wasn't for the help of Madueke, he would have come inside and would have been able to get a shot off.
Scott Minto with us tonight, wrapped up warm, as Brighton regained possession with Webster midway inside his own half the field. And a quick touch for Jack Hinshelwood, still only 19 years of age. Joined Brighton at the age of just 7. Mitoma over the halfway line wearing gloves in front of the east side of the stadium, floodlights shimmering up ahead. Brighton 0, Chelsea 0. A Brighton victory tonight would take them up to 8th in the Premier League table. And it really is, Scott, isn't it, an intriguing race for the Champions League and the rest of the European places.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, if you know, no one really wants Liverpool to run away with it. But if you look just below, there's a lot of teams going for a lot of places in a short space. When you look at Brighton, where they are right now, 10th in the league, and get a win here, you know, level on points with Aston Villa. They're only 4 points off that 5th place, which, as it stands, is the Champions League place. I'm not suggesting that they will get into a Champions League place, but it is very, very tight.
Humbled in their last Premier League game, Fabian Hürzeler's side. That 7-0 defeat away to Nottingham Forest. Leicester against Arsenal. Our game day commentary tomorrow at 12:30 here on TalkSport. Massive at both ends of the table. And at 3 o'clock on TalkSport 2, we'll bring you commentary of Aston Villa against Ipswich, as Cucurella rolls the ball all the way back to goalkeeper Jorgensen, all in light blue. And now Colwill, left corner of his own penalty area. Colwill, the number 6, finds Cucurella again. Lots of boos from the Brighton fans. Enzo Maresca standing just to the right of the halfway line, hands in pockets inside his technical area. Fabian Hürzeler in his very early 30s, just to the immediate left, the youngest ever permanent manager in the Premier League. And now Chalobah for Chelsea will roll it all the way back to Jorgensen again. By and large, though, despite this poor run by their standards, Fabian Hürzeler's done an excellent job at Brighton, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it will take time. There's been a big turnover of squad. There's been a lot of injuries, which has led to an unsettled side.
Long ball up the left-hand channel for Neto by Cucurella. Good covering by Yankuba Minter, who turns away from Neto and accelerates forward towards the halfway line. Then Caicedo goes in and wins it back off Belieber. Brighton want a free kick, but they're not going to get it. Neto, 30 yards out right of centre. Out to the far side, and Noni Madueke. On the overlap is Pedro Neto. Low cross goal cleared away by Webster. And Mitoma will retrieve the loose ball, and Chelsea have won it back again, albeit this time the free kick is given by the referee, Chris Kavanagh, and it's in the Brighton left-back position, 0-0.
Yeah, I actually didn't think that was a foul. I didn't think the earlier one was a foul where he did allow it to play on. It's been a really good start from Chelsea, almost as if they're the home side and being very much on the front foot. It is interesting that Fabian Hürzeler has told Minte to go with Neto at times. I think if it's just a race, and we've seen it a couple of times already, that crossfield ball over the top for Pedro Neto. Neto versus Veltman, there's only one winner there, so Minte, obviously he wants to try and get forward, especially playing at home, in front of his home crowd, but he's absolutely going to have to help his right back out as well this evening.
They are forming a 5, aren't they, Brighton, out of possession, certainly in that defensive area, yes, when Chelsea are coming forward, and the pace that Chelsea have got in the attack is absolutely blistering. High ball downfield for Brighton, headed away by Colwill up to the halfway line. It's Brighton 0, Chelsea 0 on TalkSport with Sky Sports. Don't forget you can stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on now, like Brighton against Chelsea live right now. Search Now Sports. Just under 10 minutes gone, and whatever happens tonight, you'll be able to have your say from 10 o'clock on the Sports Bar with Majestic and Carlton Cole. 03717 22 3344. Former Chelsea striker Carlton Cole. That's tonight on TalkSport, as Chalobah goes back to goalkeeper Jorgensen. Only had a couple of touches with the ball at his feet so far. Caicedo forward to Enzo Fernandez under pressure from Veltman, who slides in with great robustness, but The ball has spun away to the Chelsea right-back position, and it's easy for Chalobah, completely unchallenged, to retrieve and go back to his goalkeeper again.
Yeah, it's really interesting that Veltman is the one who's being asked to go in on Enzo Fernandez and make sure that he doesn't receive the ball on the half-turn and then put the ball over the top. It's Minte who is actually picking up Pedro Neto.
Long high ball right up the middle by Jorgensen, header away by Veltman from midway inside his own half, and then Tariq Lamptey has to get across, the former Chelsea player, to scoop it high towards the halfway line. Minte is caught, and Chris Kavanagh is going to call over Marc Cucurella, and he's just going to gesture to him to keep calm. It was a poor challenge, clumsy and late, but really the first bad challenge of the game so far. So maybe you can, although actually I have to say, seeing it again on our monitor in the commentary position, the boot of Cucurella, it's a lash out almost at Minte. It's not a good challenge.
No, it's not, but I think it's one of those where he's not gone towards Minte, he's almost just gone up and then down, and Minte's gone over his leg there. I think at full speed it did look bad, but looking at the replay, and my initial thoughts were it's a foul but not a yellow card.
Minte up against Cucurella again in the Brighton right wing position, taking on Cucurella, who gets a tackle in, then shows good pace to accelerate to the corner flag, prevent the corner, but he's only been able to knock it into touch, and it's a Brighton throw. Level with the edge of the Chelsea penalty area, and now Minte again, right hand edge of the box, trying to combine with Jorginho Ruter, formerly of Leeds United, scooped away by Caicedo, and then the flag was off anyway on the near side of the field. That checkered flag, and it's a Chelsea free kick for an offside earlier on in the move. 12 minutes gone, Brighton 0, Chelsea 0. Games between these two sides generally tend to produce goals. Remember the 4 that Cole Palmer scored in the first half in the other Premier League game earlier this season between these two?
I was there, I saw it. He was sensational. And you know what, it wasn't just that, he was so clever when Brighton had the high press.
Here is Danny Welbeck in the area, the angle is tight, and across came the defender Chalobah at the very last moment. Welbeck raced into the box, tried to draw the goalkeeper, good covering and pace by Chalobah, smuggles it behind for a Brighton corner.
Well, again, that's what happens when you just try and play out from the back, and it's good pressing, and Danny Welbeck finds himself on the left-hand side coming into the box. Just wonder if he can just try and get a shot off a little bit earlier. Once he takes that extra touch, it just gives the defenders time to come across. Really good defensive challenge from Trevor Chalobah, but Danny Welbeck's got to get a shot off there.
Webster and Van Hecke in close conversation a few moments ago. Webster making his first Brighton start since playing against his old club Ipswich in mid-January. Brighton have a corner which they're going to have to wait to take, and it will be Minte, left-footed and out swinging in front of the Chelsea fans who are massed behind the goal at the south end of the ground. Brighton 0, Chelsea 0 on TalkSport. Corner taken short to Mitoma. Minte then with a low ball into the box, and it's deflected behind, and it'll be a second Brighton corner in quick succession. That came off Christopher Nkunku. Well, hopefully the delivery will be better this time. Can understand taking the corner short because of the delivery that Mitoma's got on the right foot from the corner of the penalty area, but I think Minte will go direct this time. He does. High left-footed. Welbeck at the back post trying to nod it down, but he's blocked off by Pedro Neto of all people. It's come back to Lamptey to whip it high towards the edge of the box. Headed away again, this time by Enzo Fernandez. Chelsea on the counter. Noni Madueke beaten to it by Believer. Good covering from Believer, with Madueke looking to run at him. And even though he was probably 40-50 yards from goal, with the pace that he's got, he can make up that distance pretty quickly. Yeah, absolutely, but he just dropped off an extra yard, Believer, and gave himself that yard, and that's when their ball was a little bit overplayed. He was able to get there. Would have been interesting if it had been a straight race between the two, but good play from Believer. So goalless it remains at the Amex, not despite a lively start. There's plenty of intensity and energy about the game. At Queen's Park Rangers 0, Derby County 0 in the Championship, live on your home of the EPL. TalkSport 2 got a massive game for you in that division on Monday night on the network. Leeds United top of the league against Sunderland, and of course a big weekend programme to come of football all around the country. Before then, and Adrian Durham will bring you all of the goal updates tomorrow on TalkSport from 2:30, plus a classified check at 5 o'clock. Brighton goalkeeper Verbruggen with a very short pass up to Webster on the edge of the penalty area. His first time square ball to the feet of Van Hecke, the other centre half. Threads it towards the halfway line. Colwell makes the interception, gives it straight back to Van Hecke, who then tried the angled ball to the right back position, thought better of it, went back to Verbruggen, and his right-footed clearance is high towards the left. Lamptey brings it down. Had a little bit of criticism this season, Bart Verbruggen, for some of the errors that he's made, but he's still a relatively, well, a very young goalkeeper at only 22. Goalkeepers don't tend to peak, of course, until much later on in their careers, Scott.
No, and I think, I mean, he made a big one last week, didn't he?
That was a howler.
Yeah, I mean, more than ever, you know, goalkeepers have been asked to do something where if you ask them off the record, I'm sure they wouldn't be comfortable with almost playing like number 10s as the last man.
Scampering up the Brighton left now is Tariq Lamptey. No foul given by the referee. Colwell tracking back, made a rather hefty challenge, but Chris Kavanagh said get up, get on with it to Lamptey. As Enzo Fernandez steers the ball clear. Up to the halfway line for Chelsea. Hinshaw goes in with a challenge this time. It's quite feisty out there at the moment. 16 gone. Brighton 0, Chelsea 0.
Well, I think the fans are trying to make it that way, certainly whenever Cucurella, and especially, but also Moises Caicedo gets on the ball. But yeah, that's what they want to see. And actually, it's Levi Colwell going right into Lamptey there. Definite foul.
Fabian Herzler was furious, not afraid to make his emotions clear on the touchline, the young manager. Scott Minto, former Chelsea defender, with us in the commentary box tonight. Malo Gusto, who's stepping into that inverted role inside the centre circle for Chelsea when they have possession now. Chalobah squared to Colwell, midway inside his own half the field. Neither goalkeeper's had a serious save to make as yet, but Palmer and Welbeck have both been presented with certainly half chances at the very least in promising positions. Chelsea go back to Jorgensen again in front of the away supporters. Now a little pass to the man square of him, Chalobah. Chalobah floats the ball towards Madueke. 10 yards shy of the halfway line, and Kunku takes over, bursts away down the right-hand side. Quick ball forward to Madueke again. He's in behind on the right-hand channel. Plays it back to Palmer. First time shot wide. From the edge of the penalty area, left-footed. Didn't connect with it well, was my first thought. And the ball is skewed well wide of the goal. And that's two chances from decent range inside the first 17 minutes for Palmer. And there might be a problem, meanwhile, now for Noni Madueke, who's gone down.
Yeah, brilliant Chelsea play on the counter-attack. I mean, the first 10 minutes, they were dominating possession. They've shown a couple of times already now that they are very good on the counter. And as the ball was played back to Cole Palmer, I mean, he's got to strike here. I actually thought he could have taken a touch because we know how composed he is. But he's definitely got to either take a touch and shoot or just shoot first time. He didn't connect properly with it. And Enzo Fernandez was behind him saying, well, let it go. But I'm sorry, I don't think Enzo Fernandez would have let it go if he was in that position. You just expect, though, Cole Palmer, it's a couple of opportunities now and he's not even hit the target.
Well, players from both sides have been called over to the near side touchline, taking on instructions and water. Enzo Maresca having a word with Levi Colwell, just a few feet in front of us, but he's turned away towards the near side of the field. And I wonder whether Jadon Sancho might come on and have to replace Noni Madueke here for Chelsea. That's a real blow for them if it is the case, because Madueke's looked lively, and of course we know all about, Scott, the extensive injury issues that Chelsea just can't seem to shake.
Well, you can put that, say, with most of the clubs in the Premier League right now, and certainly Brighton's one of them.
That's true.
But it is a blow because I like Noni Madueke. I think he's a really good player. It'd be really difficult as a left back to play against because he's quite happy to go on the outside as well as on the inside. A lot of these inverted wingers, you know, they're always coming inside, so as a fullback you know what he's going to do. Madueke doesn't always know what he's got to do. We've got to watch him, Thomas Tuchel, and I'm sure he'll be disappointed to see him go off.
Yes, the England boss is here in the season where Noni Madueke has made an impression at a senior level for the national team. Thomas Tuchel, of course, also a former Chelsea head coach, Champions League winning head coach. Madueke's been helped to his feet and he's going to limp towards the near side. Ronald Koeman, the national team boss, here as well. It's a case of who's who in the director's box.
Jimmy Floyd, good friend of mine. He's doing me a favour in a couple of months for a charity event.
Well, that's good.
Good to see him there. I'll have to send him a text.
So Madueke walks off, and I don't think he'll have to come off. Not looking like it anyway, as he strides towards the near side. Limped up initially.
I'll tell you what as well, you know, Jadon Sancho's been okay, but he's been quite inconsistent. And, you know, you would think that Neto would go to the right and Sancho to the left, but I definitely think Neto and Madueke is a stronger wing combination. Yeah, that's a shame.
Down the tunnel in the end, so it will be Sancho, who has only scored twice since joining Chelsea on loan for Manchester United. Both of those goals came in back-to-back away matches in December, so Chelsea forced into a first half switch. 20 minutes into the game, Brighton 0, Chelsea 0 on TalkSport, and Chelsea have to make that change, and Neto has gone off to the right hand side. Madueke down the tunnel. On the halfway line is Mitoma for Brighton. Can't get the ball under control as the game restarts, and there's a foul by Caicedo tracking back. That'll be a free kick to Brighton on the halfway line, and Caicedo vocal in his protests towards Chris Kavanagh, the referee, who just calls the game back a little bit. Brighton prepared to take the free kick just shy of the halfway line. They haven't won at the Amex Stadium in 5 matches since that great victory over Manchester City in November, which really signalled the start of City's drop-off in form. But they do have a good record against some of the stronger sides in terms of Premier League form this season on this ground. So, who knows? Maybe it'll be 2 wins in less than a week against Chelsea. But Chelsea do look, overall, I'd have to say, the more likely in the game so far. Colwell has possession. You're listening to TalkSport. Cucurella in the left-back area, back to Colwell. Chelsea in possession now with Malo Gusto, left of the centre circle, out wide to his immediate right is Palmer. Lovely flighted ball over the top, left to right to find Pedro Neto. About 10 yards infield from the corner flag, tackled by Lamptey, who stuck out a leg importantly to change the momentum of that Chelsea attack. It's now gone from running at full pelt to walking pace, and the ball has gone back towards the halfway line.
Yeah, not surprised to see Jadon Sancho on the left-hand side, Neto on the right. And as I say, it's really important that you give that kind of ability or feel to your fullback that you could actually go outside as well as in.
High reverse ball over the top from Enzo Fernandez that seemed to hang in the air for an age. I'm not sure if he actually mishit that. It was going to loop down towards Christopher Nkunku, but in the end it's a simple cushion back header from Webster to his goalkeeper.
By the way, I know it's Valentine's Day. we're very snug here, aren't we? It's very tight.
Absolutely.
Not much space at all.
4 of us in one small row of seats.
I dropped a pen on the floor. It took me 3 minutes to pick it up.
I was wondering what you were up to. As Malo Gusto tries to get back in front of Mitoma, left it to the penalty area, twisting all the way, and then the other Gusto puts in a tackle and just got enough on the ball so that Chelsea can come away with it.
Great tackle, and from a fullback's point of view, once the winger's running at you, Mitoma especially, the ability that he's got and the pace he's got, you're thinking, if I'm going to make a tackle, it has to be absolutely spot on. And it pretty much was. He did go down, never a penalty. Not surprised the Brighton fans going for it. Good defending, but you don't want that to happen too many times in your own box.
Still the most significant thing really that has happened in the game is that injury to Noni Madueke, with Thomas Tuchel watching on. The England squad announcement is in the middle of March, and he walked down the tunnel, Madueke, didn't need assistance to do so, but you just can't afford to do anything other than take precautions in that sort of situation, and Chelsea doing just that. Midway through the first half, Brighton 0, Chelsea 0 on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has vans of all shapes and sizes, so if you've got a plan, they've got a van. Chelsea go over the top towards Sancho. This will be his first touch. Left edge of the penalty area towards the dead ball line. Taking on Veltman, trying to dribble beyond 2 and 3 in Brighton blue and white. And it's knocked upfield by Believer. Took 1 touch too many there, I think, Sancho.
Really good defending from Brighton. The fact that he took 1 touch too many is because Veltman got help. But there's no doubt about it, they're trying to have a look at that first time ball over the top if they can, and not let Minter get back and have a 1-on-1 situation against Veltman.
And on the Chelsea right is Pedro Neto with those dancing feet, and now Nkunku about 10 yards from the corner of the penalty area goes to make the run for the 1-2 with Pedro Neto, who holds up possession midway inside the Brighton half, and Brighton have got everybody back behind the ball here. Fabian Herzler issuing instructions from his technical area. Chelsea work it wide to the right hand side again, and here comes Neto once more, not beyond Lamptey, who stood up firm to the challenge despite the double step over from Pedro Neto. Lamptey said no thanks and was able to win the ball back, albeit Chelsea have regained possession pretty quickly. Sancho can't get beyond Yankuba Minter this time. In the right back area for Brighton and Hove Albion. Just 2 wins in their last 12 in the Premier League for them. Ruter over halfway. Tries to knock it immediately down the middle towards Welbeck. It's smuggled up into the air by Trevor Chalobah for Chelsea. Now it's dropped inside the centre circle to Carlos Believer. Believer for Brighton. Holds up the play neatly and finds Veltman. Very steady over so many seasons at Brighton Hove Albion. Joel Veltman 33 years of age now. Back he goes, the Dutchman, to a compatriot Van Hecker. And now the tall, slender Webster, Brighton centre-half, midway into his own half of the field. Laptey races up the left-hand side, trying to jig beyond Neto. And Brighton enjoying a good spell of possession here in the 25th minute. The score still 0-0, but some encouragement for the home fans. Webster turns and goes back to Verbruggen.
Yeah, I think the first 10 minutes were dominated by Chelsea. And since then, it's been very much 50-50. Chelsea have been trying to get on the ball, but look dangerous on the counter.
Stumped long by Verbruggen and brilliantly brought down by Mitoma into the box. What a goal! Fantastic take and the finish to match. And the man who scored the winner in the FA Cup against Chelsea on this ground last weekend has just scored a Premier League goal of beauty. Fantastic long ball downfield by the goalkeeper Verbruggen, but Mitoma with the elegance to pluck it out of the air, the deft touch out of his feet, and the poise and the calm to bend it across the goalkeeper and into the far corner. Are Brighton going to do it to Chelsea again? Brighton 1, Chelsea 0, and Mitoma take a bow.
Well, it's early days to see whether Brighton will do it or not, but I was just about to say, as Chelsea looked dangerous on the counter, so too have Brighton started to as well. But, I mean, look, it will go down as an assist for Verbruggen, and clearly he's aiming for Mitoma. But that goal is absolutely sensational. It's a goal for a Lionel Messi or a Cristiano Ronaldo. The way he brings it down with the pressure he's under from Trevor Chalobah, that first touch was worth the goal almost on its own, but yet he still had to then come inside, make sure Chalobah can't get a challenge, and he just passed the ball from outside the box into the net, giving Jurgensen no chance whatsoever. Listen, Brighton's a little bit against the run of play. Chelsea don't deserve to be a goal down, but with a goal like that, that is one of the best you'll see in the Premier League.
Brighton 1, Chelsea 0. And the Brighton fans were olaying and cheering again and again as the replays of the goal were played on the big screens here at the Amex Stadium. Really was a moment to savour. And as I say, Mitoma, scorer of the winning goal in the FA Cup 4th round last weekend. 6 days later, and Brighton lead Chelsea in the Premier League. And here they come again with Yankuba Minter, right corner of the penalty area, nudges the ball square with the outside of his left foot, cleared away, and then hit on the thumping half volley by Believer, sort of scooped that up into the air, and it's well wide. He raises an arm in apology, but the Brighton and Hove Albion fans will want to see that goal from Kaoru Mitoma again and again and again. 1-0 they lead Chelsea. Live on TalkSport, here's Scott Minter.
Joe, I'm telling you now, I don't care what the player, for the rest of the season, you will not see a better first touch from anyone than that. It's, what, a 60-yard ball, and it's come literally over his head, not over his shoulder. And he's brought it down with that first touch. Just wonderful.
So, 2 clean sheets in 20 in the Premier League it will be now for Chelsea, which is a concerning statistic for them, because it means that you just have to work so hard to win matches in the Premier League.
And you haven't got your, well, probably your only proper number 9. Mark Guiu is a number 9 as well, but he's still very young. You haven't got him for another couple of months. But you have to score 2 goals at least to win this particular game. And look, as much as we say it was a wonder goal, and it was, it's a really poor goal defensively for Chelsea to concede. It's just a ping down from the goalkeeper, 50, 60 yards, and there's no way, as good as that touch was, he should be allowed to bring it down like that.
Brighton 1, Chelsea 0, and Jurgensen trying to do the opposite at the other end. It's a long ball for the goalkeeper that's reached Pedro Neto, angled tight as he rifles the left-footed shot over the top from just inside the box, about level with the corner of the penalty area. I think the flag is up on the far side anyway, or it was briefly. The initial touch was from Cole Palmer in that Chelsea move, and Bart Verbruggen, half an hour in, has not had a serious save to make. Brighton 1, Chelsea 0.
Well, we keep on seeing replays, don't we, of the goal, and it is nothing short of sensational. Malagusto's got to go with him, just leave the person out, and Trevor Chalobah could not allow him to bring the ball down like that, even though it was just sensational. And the finish wasn't far off the first touch either. It's a brilliant goal, but it's out of nothing.
Such an elegant and exquisite first touch from Mitoma, but Brighton have nearly given it away. Webster got lucky, but Lever there to make a good interception. And now from the midway point of his own half, he sprayed the ball towards the right. Good covering by Cucurella, making sure it didn't reach Minter, and the back header all the way through to Jorgensen, the goalkeeper. Brighton 1, Chelsea 0 on TalkSport, and we've played half an hour. Chelsea up on the far side there, right. Lamptey makes a tackle at the expense of a corner. For the latest odds, head to Ladbrokes right now. You can back Brighton to win at 4-6, Chelsea to win at 19-5, or the draw at 27-10. That's all thanks to Ladbrokes, 18 plus at gambleaware.org. Corner to Chelsea, their first of the game. 1-0 down, your old club, Scott.
Yeah, I'll tell you what we are seeing. We're seeing both teams trying to play that ball over the top, whether it's a straight pass or more so on the diagonal. And I think they are looking pretty vulnerable with the high line, both these sides. I'd be surprised if it stays 1-0.
Corner which Cole Palmer will take. It'll be left-footed and in swinging. Whipped in towards the near post, headed away by Van Hecker. It's dropped to the corner of the penalty area. Enzo Fernandez with a dipping hard volley, and it's miles over the top. Hopefully appealed for a corner. Doesn't get it from the referee. Enzo Maresca, just a few feet away from us, turns away exasperated. But Chelsea are yet to have a meaningful effort on target in the game. QPR 1, Derby 0 is the latest score in the Championship. Live right now on TalkSport 2. John Eustace's first game in charge of Derby County, but they are behind at Loftus Road. And our Championship commentary tomorrow lunchtime is a Lancashire derby between Preston North End and high-flying Burnley, who kept 10 league clean sheets in a row. 10. That's a championship record.
Yeah, Scotty Barker's defence is just sensational. I've got to try and find a way to win games, but it is amazing, isn't it? We've had more than half an hour, and for all the possession that Chelsea have had, they've not had a shot on target as yet.
Chelsea have the ball again with Pedro Neto. Infield from the right, the far side of the field. He's about 35 yards out as he looks up, steers the ball back wide to the right-hand side. Malo Gusto with the overlapping run, and he's controlled the ball close to the corner of the penalty area. Brighton again have got everybody back. Brighton in their traditional colours of the blue and white striped shirts, and everybody standing behind the ball. Chelsea coming forward towards the home end, the north end of the ground. Scampering away down the right is Pedro Neto. He got beyond Mitoma, but not beyond Lamptey, who stood up to the challenge very well so far. The Brighton led back against his old club. Throw.
Yeah, they're defending really well, Brighton. Playing with a 5 without the ball at times, and Minte's dropping right in. But even on the left-hand side, Mitoma's coming back to help his full-back out. If he goes past one, then he's still got to go past another. And we know Lamptey's a very good defender, certainly very quick.
12 minutes of normal time remaining at the end of the first half. Chelsea with Malo Gusto again. 10 yards from the corner of the penalty area, back to Palmer. Chelsea's centre-backs are almost playing as midfielders at the moment. Everybody inside the Brighton half, bar the Chelsea goalkeeper, Philip Jorgensen. Chelsea, it is worth saying, starting the night 9 points better off than they were last season. 47 goals in the Premier League. And Kunku with his back to goal, been quiet so far. Out to the left, and Sancho. Quick touch back to Enzo Fernandez. Brighton holding a very stout and compact defensive shape. Chelsea don't have the answer at the moment as they look for an equaliser.
No, they're going backwards all the time, aren't they? And Enzo Fernandez and Cole Palmer are trying to find the little pockets of space. So Fernandez is pushing in, but it's in Kunku, who have not really got involved in the game yet.
He's controlled neatly on his chest. Near side the left wing, Christopher Nkunku taking on Van Hecker. And Enzo Fernandez takes over 25 yards out. Plays the ball backwards now. Chalobah just forward of the centre circle. Brighton 1, Chelsea 0. Out on the right-hand side once more is Pedro Neto. Once again in a one-on-one with Lamptey, who's tracking him all the way. It's come back to Malo Gusto, corner of the box. There was a foul on Pedro Neto, but the referee has allowed the advantage to be played. Chelsea now only 25 yards out. Cucurella with a left-footed cross. All the way to Pedro Neto. Great block at the back post. Then Verbruggen punches away. I think it was Webster who made that sliding challenge. Chelsea having to get on the far side with Malo Gusto. Best chance of the game so far for them. Now Colwell, square to Chalobah. They're capped inside the Brighton half, but they can't find the equaliser yet. Nkunku out to the right. Malo Gusto, dead ball line. Whips it into the back post. Enzo Fernandez heads it into the net. Simple in the end. Although the referee is signalling that there was a foul in the build-up, and it will not count. It stays 1-0 to Brighton, and Enzo Fernandez's celebrations are cut short.
Wow. That is a great ball in for Malo Gusto. And he does push Veltman down. We're seeing on the replay, And it's both arms as well. It's not even as if he's stood up and tried to get his elbows up. He's literally, it's only the slightest that pushes, but it's enough. And Veltman gets that touch, goes down. And the fact that he's put both arms up, it's a real shame, because I'm not sure Veltman would have got there. It's a really good header just 6 yards out, giving Verbruggen no chance whatsoever. It's a wonderful opportunity for Chelsea.
Well, it stays 1-0 to Brighton, but some encouragement for the visitors now. Chelsea with Caicedo going backwards to Chalobah, and he will play a simple ball away from goal for Philip Jorgensen, the goalkeeper, to smack clear up into Brighton territory. And
I was saying about how Enzo Fernandez is trying to push in, especially when Chelsea have the ball, not just one of the two holders, but one of the two number 10s alongside Cole Palmer, and that's why he was able to get into the box.
Good covering by Malo Gusto, great pace on the run ahead of Mitoma after another high long ball downfield. Back it goes to Jorgensen again. Jorgensen's had nothing to do in the first 36 minutes bar pick the ball out of the back of the net.
No, to be fair to him,
although Bruggen hasn't had much to do either.
No, but there have been times where there's been a bit of a Brighton press and he's just clipped it over Danny Welbeck towards Marc Cucurella. Could easily have made a mistake, and with the greatest of respect, Robert Sanchez probably has. So I think with his feet, so far he's done very well. But no, in terms of shots to save, he hasn't really done that, apart from picking the ball out from the back of the net.
QPR 2, Derby nil is the latest score in the Championship now. And John Eustace, his first game in charge, not panning out well. The new Derby County boss, they are very much in a relegation scrap. 2-0 down live on TalkSport 2. And whatever happens tonight in both our commentary games on the network, you'll want to have your say on the Sports Bar weekend from 10 03717 223344 to speak to Majestic and Carlton Cole. And more reaction tomorrow morning on the Weekend Sports Breakfast from 6. Natalie Sawyer and former Chelsea man Tony Cascarina. Now Chelsea under pressure again. Repair for Brighton. Left edge of the box. Bursts beyond his opponent and then drills the ball in low. Jorgensen makes the save. And will it be tucked in by Minter? It is! It's 2-0! Enzo Maresca can't believe the defending. He throws his arms up into the air and turns away in disgust. A mess for Chelsea at the back. Deflection on the initial effort, turned away by the diving Jorgensen, and Yankuba Minter was there to snap up the rebound and make it Brighton 2, Chelsea 0. Chelsea were all over the place there.
Well, it's not a 2-0 game, but games are won on moments and also poor defending. And we've seen that on both goals, really. Trutera, who's got into the box, a possibility of Danny Welbeck being offside. We'll have to wait and see what VAR say about that. But the fact that he was allowed to get into the box and then put the cross across is just not good enough for Chelsea. There's 3 players there. And then at the far post, there's 3 Brighton players. Minter does really well because Cucurella comes at him expecting that first time shot. It's Levi Colwell who gets the touch. Jorgensen makes the save. Cucurella dives towards Minter thinking he'll take it first time. Great composure. Takes that touch inside and just puts it in the back of the net. 2-0.
And the goal stands. It is 2 with just 38.5 minutes played. And the chant of the Brighton fans is, can we play you every week? At the moment they are doing that. And they're beating Chelsea twice in a week as it stands. In the league now as well as the cup. Brighton into the 5th round of the FA Cup. As you heard live on TalkSport last weekend, and they'll play Newcastle, incidentally, in that 5th round tie. There's been promise for Chelsea going forward, but defensively there, it was a number of errors in both the build-up, and then as the ball bounced around the penalty area, nobody seemed to really pick up Yankuba Minter. Cucurella was the closest player, but he couldn't make a challenge, and now they're 2-0 down Chelsea with a lot of work to do. They win a free kick on the halfway line. Scott Minter.
Yeah, the disappointing thing is that Chelsea had numbers. I mean, first of all, it was Caicedo who gave the ball away. But still, Chelsea had plenty of numbers back. And the fact that Cross was allowed to come in. Colwell's got to stretch for it, and Jorgensen makes a good save. Then there's 3 Brighton players, and just Marc Cucurella at the far post. My goodness me, Chelsea are pretty decent going forward, although, again, with Nicholas Jackson not being fit, it is a problem, but defensively, just always conceding.
Here goes Caicedo, darting down the middle for Chelsea towards the edge of the D. Now he sets up Jadon Sancho, steers it right to Palmer. Corner of the penalty area is Pedro Neto. Onto the left foot, back now to Malo Gusto. They're queuing up on the edge of the box and the shot is just wide. Malo Gusto with a fine effort, having never ever scored even a senior goal at club level. And it was a very promising position right on the edge of the box. Verbruggen was certainly concerned enough to fling himself to his right. But in the end, it's 2 or 3 yards wide of the top corner. 2-0 to Brighton, live on TalkSport.
Yeah, it was wider than we thought in the end, wasn't it? The fact that Verbruggen went for it, we thought it must have been very close. But my goodness, man, I think Chelsea had 7 players in the box. And yet still, even when the ball came back out to Minter, Cucurella has obviously gone for that first-time shot. He's come inside, and then there's no one. It's a really good, well-composed strike at the far post from Minte, but just really poor defending from Chelsea.
Caught the eye in the win at Manchester United, which is when he scored his last goal, Yankuba Minter. Across comes Cucurella, tripped by, I believe, a free kick to Chelsea. Now, this is much more like Brighton at their best. Looking for just a third win in 13 in the Premier League tonight. Chelsea rapidly becoming their favourite opponents.
Yeah, I mean,
even though there is still a long way to go.
Yeah, I mean, you said at 1-0, they're going to go on 2-0. It's going to be difficult. I could do with a goal, certainly from Chelsea's point of view, before half-time, but I don't think it's that Brighton have been brilliant, but I think they've just come out with moments. And Chelsea don't seem to be able to stop it defensively.
Just over 3 minutes of normal time remaining at the end of the first half. Mittoma's robbed a rather slow Gusto of possession, and then Caicedo went in very hard with the challenge. That sent Mitoma flying right in front of the referee, in and around the centre circle, and Moises Caicedo picks up the game's first yellow card.
And it's amazing the psychology of both teams. If one of them scores 2 goals, suddenly Brighton looks so confident, wanted to run with the ball, looking so fast, and then there's others just diving in when you're never going to get there. Absolutely guaranteed foul and yellow card for Moises Caicedo, and he's now got to be careful for the rest of the game.
Walking that proverbial tightrope. Brighton 2, Chelsea 0, QPR 2, Derby 0, live on TalkSport 2 right now. If you want commentary of that, just download our free app and you can swipe between both stations easily. Tomorrow we've got Leicester against Arsenal and Preston against Burnley at lunchtime. Villa against Ipswich at 3 o'clock. That one is on TalkSport 2. And Sam Matterface with the Sunday session, all the goals as they go in on Sunday afternoon. We've always got you covered on TalkSport, the home of live football. 2 minutes of normal time to go, end of the first half. Some Brighton fans are heading for the concourse areas, very cold tonight. Chelsea now with Malo Gusto looking to find Neto, who's trying to set himself on a marauding run again down that right-hand side. He's had to pull the ball back towards the edge of the centre circle. Just forward of that is Nkunku. Square now to Cucurella. Further wide to the left and Sancho. 10 yards from the dead ball line. Skips away from Minter. Corner of the area. Good ball to find Enzo Fernandez in a very tight area. He can't feed Sancho with a return. And it's hacked away by Believer into touch.
Yeah, Marco Correa just trying to lift Chelsea. Every time he gets the ball, but you know, he's one of the few Chelsea players that looks like he wants to try and do something about it. Need to find a way to get Nkunku in the game, get Cole Palmer more into the game. Saw him in the first 5 or 10 minutes, haven't really seen him since.
Colwood in the centre circle, quick ball to Cole Palmer, who was fired wide from promising positions on 2 occasions in the game for Chelsea now. Last minute of normal time, Chelsea have it, left wing position, Sancho, infield towards the corner of the area, being jostled all the way by the scorer of the second goal, Minter. He did well for Brighton. Brighton 2-0 up. Be interesting to see how much added time we have. There might be 2 or 3 minutes maybe after the earlier injury to Noni Madueke. Poor ball up the inside right by Malo Gusto. And again, Maresca turns away, rubbing his forehead in disappointment. And now he turns back, little glance at the 4th official. Just not happened for Chelsea in the first half.
No, and they're forcing it now, and it was really good play from Tariq Lamptey. We know he's quick anyway, but he's up against Pedro Neto, who's very quick as well, and he just dropped off. He could see Malo Gusto look up as he went his head down, about to play the ball. He dropped off an extra yard or 2. And in the end, there was no way he was going to be able to play that ball.
Here comes the fourth official with news of that added time as Verbruggen smashes the ball high up into the air. 4 minutes of added time at the end of the first half, and Brighton are 2-0 in front. And having beaten Chelsea in the FA Cup last weekend, they're looking to do the same in the Premier League tonight. So far, it's been more comfortable. Chelsea went in front in the FA Cup tie last weekend, and Brighton had to fight back. Now it's Chelsea who have to produce what, away from home at Brighton, is going to be a difficult comeback, to say the very least. They did come from behind to beat West Ham in their last Premier League game. They were only a goal down on that occasion. Now they're behind by 2. Jorgensen, the Chelsea goalkeeper, blameless for both goals. Here is Nkunku dropping very deep into the right-back position for Chelsea, who go back to Jorgensen again. Thought about a square pass along the edge of his own 6-yard line, then, with Welbeck in close attention, thought better of it. Cucurella in the left-back area, near side of the field. Sancho in front of the dugouts, back square towards Cucurella. Belieber gets the touch, and Chelsea have to go backwards with the resulting throw. No great presence up front in that number 9 area, Chelsea, and I'm sure Chelsea fans did fear that would be the case again tonight.
Yeah, Enzo Maresca said, didn't he, that Christopher Nkunku is not a natural number 9, and he's not. He did actually find plenty of space last week, haven't found any so far.
Good ball by Cucurella, forward to Sancho, left edge of the area, but he's somehow strayed offside. And it's a sloppy way to give a free kick with Chelsea in an attacking area.
I just want to mention the Brighton press as well, from when Philip Jorgensen has the ball. And he's looking at options, and he's not looking to knock it long, so he's looking quite confident, and so far he's not made a mistake. But at some point, because the Brighton press is so good, he might just get caught. And even when he does play the ball out to Colwell, who gets it to Cucurella, and Cucurella is not able to do anything with it. It's a brilliant Brighton press at the moment, it really is.
2 minutes of the 4 added, remaining at the end of the first half. You're listening to Talk Sport, and it remains at 2-0 to Brighton and Hove Albion here against Chelsea. Chelsea very sloppy defensively for the second goal in particular. QPR 2, Derby 0, live on Talk Sport 2 right now. Half-time approaching in West London. And the ball is with Malo Gusto in an inverted area again for Chelsea, almost standing on the centre spot. Now hugging the far side touchline. The right is Neto. He scampers infield now. And a high diagonal looping ball right to left, and it's an easy covering header for Minter, because that had so much float on it. The defender's always going to win that in the air. And he's nodded it back to Verbruggen, who has not had a save to make.
It's incredible, isn't it? Incredible. If you'd have said that to me after 10 minutes when Chelsea were dominating from the start, I wouldn't have believed you.
Caicedo wide left to Sancho again. Last minute of added time at the end of the first half. Sancho tried to play it square, took a big deflection off Belieber, and Verbruggen sprawling across, can't prevent the corner. Second corner, and third corner rather, of the game so far for Chelsea. Enzo Fernandez will take it in front of the Brighton fans in that small stand behind the goal, all of them on their feet. And Enzo Fernandez has got Palmer coming short, but he looks to be covered by Minter. Brighton have brought everybody back to defend this corner. 2-0 in front, 30 seconds to go. In by Enzo Fernandez, really poor. Turned behind by the first man, Veltman. He's lucky, Enzo Fernandez, but he's got a second chance, Scott.
It's a really poor corner. He's lucky he's still got 20 seconds left. This is the final chance of the half.
It's gone back to Palmer now. Gusto 30 yards out. Square to Caicedo. Caicedo from the central area. Looks up. Spots the run of Enzo Fernandez at the back post. Header away by Veltman from deep inside the penalty area. And we have now had the 4 minutes of added time at the end of the first half. And right on cue, the referee blows the whistle. Enzo Maresca, stern-faced, marches down the tunnel. Brighton on the verge of 2 wins in the space of 6 days against Chelsea. The first goal just expertly converted by Karu Mitoma. A more elegant first touch to pluck a long ball out of the air you will not see. And the finish was a fine one too, curling it beyond the helpless Jorgensen. Yankuba Minter made it too after very sloppy defending from Chelsea. That was a much messier goal, and Chelsea, for all of their enterprise in the early stages, have not a shot on target. Are they heading for defeat on the south coast once again at the break? It is Brighton 2, Chelsea 0.
Well, it says a lot, doesn't it, about how far this football club has come over the last 15 or so years, at a 2-0 lead at home to Chelsea in the Premier League. Hasn't surprised any of these Brighton fans. They've shown real quality in the big moments, haven't they, Scott, at both ends of the pitch? And really, that has been the difference between the two teams.
Yeah, I think so. I think first and foremost, after Chelsea starting off really well, they defended well. Adam Webster made a really good sort of diving tackle halfway through that first half, and you could see the way they set up. You know, Minte was dropping off. It was 5 at the back. They were pressing really hard. They were not giving the wide players any time at all. Cole Palmer started the game well, then just drifted away from it. We've hardly seen Christopher Nkunku at all, but I don't necessarily blame him for that, because he's got to be given quality ball, and he hasn't. But going forward, absolutely moments. And that is one of the best moments you will see in the Premier League this season, that goal from Matoma. It was just a sensational first touch and a quality finish as well.
Absolutely exquisite. Plucked the ball out of the air, but it was, I don't want to say poor defending, because the touch sets it up so beautifully. But I want Chalobah to affect that situation just a little bit more.
Look, okay, let's go with the positive first. That is one of the best first touches you'll see in the Premier League this season. And then once he brought it down, put it inside and just passed it with pace, giving Jurgensen no chance whatsoever. Brilliant. Right, now let's look defensively. How can you allow a goalkeeper to knock it 60 yards in the air for a guy who's, what, 5'8"? And you've got Malagusto, who's leaving him and not going with him as he makes his run inside. And Trevor Chalobah, who must put 6'2", 6'3", almost allowing him to bring the ball down. That simply cannot happen. And again, that's a symptom of where Chelsea are. And that's why when people talked about not that long ago, can they go on and win the title? I would have loved to have said, absolutely. What I'm seeing is they can definitely do it. But I knew that defensively they weren't good enough. The goalkeeper was a problem. Not today, of course. But also just in the way they manage games as well. They haven't got that leadership at the back yet. I like Trevor Chalobah as a defender. I really do. I think he's Chelsea's best central defender. But there, he could not allow Matoma to bring it down.
You can say this of any team in the Premier League. This just can't happen. Listen to these stats. 72% possession for Chelsea in that first half. They have not had a shot on target. 6 shots, none of them on the frame of goal. 4 Brighton shots, 2 on target, 2 goals scored. You know, that is where Chelsea are right now. They are coming across as a fair-weather team. You know, it was brilliant when things were going great. Now the chips are down. They are beginning to disappear. That is just not good enough. The second goal, start the Benny Hill music. The Three Stooges would have been proud of that. What on earth was going on at the back for the goal scored by Minter?
You're not old enough to remember the Three Stooges.
I've seen clips.
No, absolutely. I mean, Caicedo gave the ball. At first we won it back in the box and then just gave it away. And it was either, you're going to try and play it out, or just get rid of it. And it was kind of neither. And it was just a poor pass. But still, there were so many numbers of Chelsea shirts inside the box, and yet Rito was able to go into the box and get that cross across. And then you're talking about Colwell. Yes, he's got to try and stretch for it. Could have been an own goal. Jurgensen makes a save. And there's 3 Brighton players at the far post. Really good composure from Minte, because as Cucurella comes in quickly, if it had shot first time, then Cucurella would have blocked it. He didn't. He just passed it inside to himself and then put it in the back of the net. Absolutely. What I would say is I think there was a sliding doors moment with Enzo Fernandez putting his hands on Joel Veltman.
Disallowed goal.
The disallowed goal. And I'm not saying it wasn't it shouldn't have been a disallowed goal, but if he'd have just not done that, or maybe just put his elbow up, one arm up instead of 2 hands in his back, it was a really good header. 1-1, the game changes, Hugh. Suddenly, a few minutes later, 2-0. And well, it's a mountain to climb for Chelsea.
Joel Veltman looked like he was on his heels. I don't think he would have got up to reach that header. Certainly, it would have been an excellent chance for Enzo Fernandez had he not put both hands on Joel Veltman. I think it was rightly disallowed in the end. But again, as the captain, in those key moments where things aren't going your way, you've got to keep your head there and make sure you get a good connection and you don't foul the player. It almost looked like he did everything he could to foul him. So those are the key moments that I'm talking about. But they have been, just like that, build up for that chance. There have been some positive moments from Chelsea, but mere flashes. How does Maresca, in that changing room right now, impress onto his players, you know, just how they can come back into this game?
Well, the problem is they haven't got many options off the bench if you actually look at it. Obviously, Jadon Sancho's already on there. They've got Keenan Dewsbury Hall. Reece James, we know, can bomb on as a full-back, but he's more so a defender. And then you're looking at youngsters. You know, Tyreek George is a very promising wide player, but to ask him to come on and help Chelsea get back from 2-0 down against Brighton in the second half is a very difficult thing to do. So look, you know, we say this a lot, and look, give me 2-0 leads any day of the week. But the next goal could be very, very important for this game. If Brighton get it, obviously it's game over. But if Chelsea do get it, and reasonably early as well, then suddenly the whole psychology of the game changes. Chelsea look like they've got an extra spring in their step. Brighton suddenly sit back a little bit more, and more chances can be created. How do they do that? Well, early on, what they were doing is when they had the ball in their own half, they were trying to play the ball over the top on the diagonal. Once you get into the opposition half, it's so tight. They're not able to play the ball over the top. It's too difficult to do. We saw, I can't remember who it was, play that down the right-hand side one time, and Tariq Lamptey just defended it brilliantly. Yeah. So they need to look up early if they're in their own half, try and look for their diagonals. They need to get Cole Palmer more on the ball. If they can get the wide plays and one-on-one situations, just leave them and let them put crosses in. And hopefully Christian Nkunku can find some space in between the two centre-halves as well.
Wouldn't surprise me if I see a change to a back three, possibly from Enzo Maresca. Bring on Tosin, see if he can push Cucurella and Gusto further up the pitch, create those overlaps out wide. He's got to find a recipe for success in this second half, or Chelsea are heading to defeat. 2 goals down at the break at the Amex. Let's get the half-time odds with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. Get money back as a free bet up to £10 if one leg of your Football 5+ acca lets you down. Pre-match straight line accas only. Odds at 3 to 1 or greater. 18+, gambleaware.org.
So Brighton 2, Chelsea 0. For the latest odds, head to Ladbrokes, where right now you can get Brighton at 1 to 5 to hold on and win the game. The draw is 11 to 2 for Chelsea to come from behind, 2 goals down and win this 11 to 1. For next goal scorer Cole Palmer, who's had a couple of good glances at goal, was 4 to 1. It's enhanced to 5 to 1, and a special 2 for a sending off in the match. That was 11 to 4. It is now 4 to 1. That was all thanks to Ladbrokes. It's 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Odds update on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. Supercharge your odds with our Odds Boost button. Selected markets applies to first £50 of stake. Terms apply. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Don't forget, TalkSport is now available in more places than ever before. You can now watch via your smart TV. Head to talksport.com/watch for all of the details on how you can see all your favourite shows and presenters, plus some of our brand new content. And that's not all. Live motorsport has returned to TalkSport 2 this weekend. Exclusive commentary of the Formula E World Championship from Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. Earlier this evening, Maximilian Günther won the first of 2 races on the circuit, while the next race takes place at 5 p.m. UK time tomorrow evening, again exclusively live on TalkSport 2, where tonight we've got live and exclusive championship action. Queen's Park Rangers 2, Derby County 0 at the break. But here is how Koki Saito's second sounded on TalkSport 2.
Low ball into the area, pound away, it's got to be, and it is! It's 2-0! QPR have a second goal, and Pigbag rattles around this stadium again because it's been put in by Koki Saito for his second QPR goal. And that already means that this is a long way back for Derby County, whose fans are heading out of the stand already.
Ilias Chair with the first for Queen's Park Rangers on the evening. Not great so far in terms of a debut in the dugout for John Eustace. The second half live over on TalkSport 2. Download the TalkSport app, easy as a swipe of the finger to move between our 2 live and exclusive games on the network this evening. Chelsea, we wonder, are their top 4 hopes going the way of their FA Cup campaign last weekend? Down the tube. No love lost on Valentine's Day as Brighton look to kick them while they're down. At the break, exclusively live on TalkSport, it is Brighton 2, Chelsea 0.
Game night on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day.
The season is shaping up, and whether they're going for glory or going down, it's all to play for. Get the ultimate football coverage with the Sun's free pull-out goals. With the best writers pitchside for in-depth match reports, it's all about goals. And with unrivaled news from the Premier League to League 2, it has to be goals. Stay up to date on all the latest football action. Get your free copy of Goals every Saturday, Sunday and Monday, only in the Sun.
Want a day off deciding what to eat? Sit back, relax, and let us do the thinking for you. And the cooking, and the cleaning. From salmon fillet Mondays to fish and chips Fridays. IKEA family members can try a different £3 dish of the day every weekday in store. IKEA, the wonderful everyday. T's and C's and exclusions apply. Find out more at ikea.co.uk.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. Sipping a morning coffee out on the terrace. Good morning, Mr. Squirrel.
Morning.
The kids building a treehouse in the garden.
I'm living my perfect childhood.
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of April 2024 and 30th of June 2024 was under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
At Betfair, we believe that to play different, you need the right tools. The boots, the world-class tactics, the science-backed nutrition. The pros have their tools, and with Betfair, so do you. Our safer gambling tools work just like the right pair of boots, designed to keep you on top of your game. Open the Betfair app to equip yourself so you can bet at your best. Betfair. Play different.
18 plus begambleaware.org.
The new £5 meal deal from McDonald's. Get a cheeseburger or mayo chicken, medium fries, 4 McNuggets, and a medium soft drink for guess what? That's right, £5. It's not called the £5 meal deal for nothing. From 11 a.m. Not available on delivery. Carbonated soft drink upgrade fees apply. Participating restaurants subject to availability.
You don't just check in to a village hotel. You work out. You jump in. You play on. You tuck in. And drink up. Village Hotels. 33 locations with everything under one roof. A huge gym with pool and great membership opportunities. And a buzzing pub and grill with delicious food, ice-cold beers and live sport. Check out villagehotels.com and work out, stay, meet and play.
At Screwfix, we've locked the prices on everyday van essentials. Like WD-40 at £6.98, a 100-pack of Easy Fix wall plugs at 94 pence, and a 200-pack of Gold Screw multi-purpose screws at £2.69. We've got your back with prices you can rely on the products you use the most. In stock and ready to go, saving you the hassle of shopping around. Order on the app and collect in-store today. Prices valid until at least 6th of April. Visit screwfix.com for T's and C's. Delivery charges and restrictions apply.
Game night on TalkSport with Sky Sports. Stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on now. Like Brighton versus Chelsea live today. Search Now Sports 18 plus. Stream via internet. Terms apply.
Colossal commentary on a Friday night.
Join us in the promised land of the Premier League.
Absolutely outstanding.
This is Game Night on Talk Sports.
Well, the Brighton fans will take it away, packed all around us at the start of another bumper weekend of football across the TalkSport network. It is Valentine's night on the South Coast. Pumped long by Van Kruggen and brilliantly brought down by Mitoma into the box. What a goal! Fantastic take, and the finish to match. And the man who scored the winner in the FA Cup against Chelsea on this ground last weekend has just scored a Premier League goal of beauty.
Look, as much as we say it was a wonder goal, and it was, it's a really poor goal defensively for Chelsea to concede.
Return for Brighton, left into the box, burst beyond his opponent, and then drills the ball in low. Jorgensen makes the save, and will it be tucked in by Minter? It is! It's 2-0! Enzo Maresca can't believe the defending. And the chant of the Brighton fans is, can we play you every week?
Yeah, absolutely, and there's almost a bit old school. I've said what I've said, now get out there. The only thing is, it's like -5 out here, isn't it? Well, it's not quite.
Freezing. It is freezing.
It is cold, so I hope they're nice and warm, because they weren't doing vigorous warm-ups at the start of the second half while they were waiting for Brighton.
They've already lost Madueke to injury in that first half. Hopefully there won't be worse for Chelsea in the second. We're back underway. Let me leave you with your commentary team. Former Chelsea defender Scott Minto and TalkSport's Joe Shannon.
With Brighton 2-0 in front and Chelsea with a lot of work to do. Brighton in their blue and white striped shirts, blue shorts and white socks. Chelsea all in black with red and yellow trim. No changes at half-time for either side. Brighton with Verbruggen in goal. Veldman, Van Hecke, Webster and Lamptey. Belieber and Hinchelwood. And Ruter, Minter and Mitoma in support of Danny Welbeck up front. Chelsea We wondered whether they might make another change, even having been forced to make one in the first half, but none for the start of the second period. They're in possession now with Malo Gusto, who was robbed of it by Belieber, but he was fouled in the process. It'll be a free kick. Lots of Brighton fans still retaking their seats, and lots of them who are already back in the ground, upset with Chris Kavanagh. Jorgensen is the Chelsea goalkeeper. Gusto, Chalobah, Colwell and Cucurella. Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez. Sancho, Palmer and Neto behind Nkunku. And it's a free kick to Chelsea, about 10 yards infield, midway into the Brighton half. Here's Scott Minter.
It's a good tackle back in my day, but that was in my day. It's a foul nowadays. He catches Gusto, but he just kind of comes round the side, and that's what Belieber can do. Obviously trying to fill the boots of Moises Caicedo, and he's getting stronger and stronger in that Brighton shirt.
Beneath the lights here, Chelsea playing from left to right towards the away end, the south stand of the stadium. Dinked in by Enzo Fernandez. Colwell to the back post with a looping header, and Nkunku is in an offside position. Colwell actually was free when he jumped, and actually, more than anything, I expect that was a misdirected header, that really he was going for goal, and it spun away at an awkward angle, and then Nkunku offside, and so Brighton get the free kick. Brighton 2, Chelsea 0. 2 minutes into the second half. I'll give you the two sets of subs as well for Brighton. The goalkeeper Rushworth, Gruder, Jarpeggio, Adingra, Cashin, Gomez, Ayari, Vifa and O'Reilly. And for Chelsea, Sanchez, Tossin, Sancho, Dewsbury Hall, James, Achiampong, George, Anselmino and Amugu. Chelsea have it now with Cucurella getting the boost. To the halfway line and Enzo Fernandez. Not had an effort on target in the game yet, Chelsea, despite some promising attacking play in that final third, and two chances for Cole Palmer, misfiring on both occasions from decent positions near the edge of the box. Malo Gusto right in front of Enzo Maresca, plays it back to the halfway line, and Caicedo. Brighton playing from right to left in the second half. Still lots of empty blue seats, even 3 minutes into the second period now. 2-0 to Brighton live on TalkSport as Chelsea win it back midway into opposition territory, and Cucurella hurriedly has to poke it back into his own half, and Chelsea will build an attack with Colwell again. QPR 2, Derby 0. Live over on TalkSport 2 right now. Derby with John Eustace taking charge for the first time. Live on your home of the EPL. Tracking back for Brighton is Minter, who's done his job with great diligence so far, and was there in the back post to steer home Brighton's second goal after messy Chelsea defending. It's been won back by Enzo Fernandez. Left wing area, goes down right in front of Chris Kavanagh. Not remotely interested there in giving the free kick, but Enzo Fernandez has stayed down. I think it's going to end in a Chelsea throw, this, Scott.
Yeah, he comes inside. I think he kind of gets caught by Veltman's hand in his face. Veltman saying, "No, I didn't touch you, get up," but I think there was an accidental hand to face, but Chelsea for sure are trying to be on the front foot. They started the first half really well, need to be on the front foot in the start of the second half. They need to trouble Verbruggen. It's just an incredible stat, isn't it? No shot on target.
Against a goalkeeper who has had difficulties at times this season. Boos from the Brighton fans because they felt the ball should have been given back to them. I think they felt it was put out of play by Brighton and Hove Albion after Enzo Fernandez went down. Chelsea have retained possession anyway. Loud boos from the home sections. Brighton unable to win it back, but in the end they do through the slide of Mitoma. Then it's given away by Van Heck, but won back by Belieber this time. Hinshelwood midway inside his own half the field, and the Brighton crowd are really engaged in this match. They're quite on top of the pitch here at the Amex Stadium, even though it's a relatively new arena. Hinshelwood down the left-hand side, blocked off by Chalobah right in front of our commentary position. We're sat right behind the dugouts as we watch Fabian Hürzeler and Enzo Maresca almost as though directing traffic. Brighton 2, Chelsea 0 on TalkSport. Foul on Welbeck by Chalobah, 10 yards shy of the halfway line. Chelsea, even if they're beaten, will stay fourth, but Manchester City, Newcastle and Bournemouth all closing in on them, all with a game in hand. And here come Brighton with Yankuba Minter. They're going 8 into the penalty area. Angled tight onto the left foot. Back to Ruter, who hits it first time right-footed and high over the top. Stays 2-0.
Yeah, even on these beautiful pitches, it just looked like it was bobbling. See whether the pass was played a little bit poorly to him. As Minte gets the ball, goes inside the box, he comes inside, he lays the ball back. No, I think that's just a poor strike. He's leaning back. He's got to do better than that, and he knows it.
03717 223 to speak to Majestic and Carlton Cole on the Sports Bar Weekender tonight from 10. Once we're done here, we'll take your calls on Talk Sport. You can have all the reaction as Jadon Sancho sprints over halfway for Chelsea after a slip by Webster. Out on the left-hand side is Nkunku. Corner of the penalty area. On the overlap is Enzo Fernandez. Low ball in towards Palmer, who was standing in and around the penalty spot. Webster got there first. I don't think Palmer really knew where it was. It was played slightly behind him. Chelsea retrieve possession with Cucurella. Had this in the first half. Long spells of Chelsea, dominance of possession and territory, but not doing a great deal with the ball in the final third, and that is part of the reason why they're 2-0 down.
Yeah, absolutely. And Marco Correa has made himself even more of a pantomime villain with him not giving the ball back. So the fans being more vociferous than ever. But what I would say is Brighton, you know, with the ball, absolutely Minte pushes on. Without it, it's a 5-4-1. Chelsea, once they have the ball deep in Brighton's half, just cannot break them down.
Not won here since November at the Amex Stadium in the Premier League, Brighton, when they beat Manchester City. Here is Enzo Fernandez, infield from the Chelsea left. He's midway into Brighton territory. Brighton have got everybody very compact and behind the ball. Even Danny Welbeck is sort of the front of that, or the starting point of that defensive effort. Chelsea with Cucurella, long curly hair, back to the halfway line, and Levi Colwill. Floodlights on a very cold night. High ball hoisted up the inside right by Chalobah. Neto jumping, cleared only half away by Adam Webster. It'll drop down to Malo Gusto. Level with the edge of the penalty area, back now to Chalobah. Chelsea going sideways and backwards, right to left, but without really any killer touches in that final third. Still Verbruggen, the Brighton goalkeeper, stands in red untroubled. Cucurella out by the corner flag, back to Sancho. 2-0 down Chelsea, so they'll have to produce quite a comeback here if they're to get anything from the game. And they're staring at 2 defeats in the space of less than a week at the Amex Stadium. Enzo Fernandez, good reverse ball, header away by Webster. That had flatness and pace on it from Enzo Fernandez. It dropped back out to the Chelsea left. Sancho, back to Cucurella. Relentless boos from the Brighton fans whenever Cucurella gets the ball, and a few for Caicedo as well. Out to the left-hand side, and Sancho once more. Quick ball to Cucurella on the underlap, and he's beaten to it via the slide of Minter in front of the Chelsea fans. Scott Minter, your old club, have a corner.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's been a decent start to the second half for Chelsea.
Taking the corner short to Cole Palmer. Back out wide to Enzo Fernandez. First time right-footed cross, well gathered by Verbruggen. Dominant from the Dutch goalkeeper, high above his head, as he looks to improve on some of his recent form. And of course, pretty blameless for most of the 7 goals they conceded at Nottingham Forest in the Premier League last time out.
Yeah, and that was catching practice. That was just a poor cross put in. As I say, it's been a positive start from Chelsea. They've been very much on the front foot. The question is, have they got that little bit of magic to unlock this very stubborn Brighton defence?
Well, here come Brighton looking menacing on the attack again. Yankuba Minter, inside right channel, has to chip back away from Sancho. Back to Veltman with the sort of old-fashioned looking black boots on. And now on the halfway line, Van Hecker with a square pass to Adam Webster. Lamptey.
They almost look unusual now, wearing black boots.
You don't see them often, do you, Scott?
You don't, no.
It's a real rarity.
Again, 20, 30 years ago, you had to be
far, but he's always a very steady presence, and such a regular presence over the Premier League consistently over so many years. He's now scored in each of the last 15 Premier League seasons, including this one, and that's the measure of his longevity.
Oh, he could be very proud of his career for sure. Could you argue, could he even have been better? Certainly had injuries.
Yeah.
But no, the longevity he's had, playing still at the top flight of English football, what we believe is the best league in the world. Well done to him.
34 now, Danny Welbeck.
It was great at the start of the season as well, wasn't he?
He was.
Before he got injured.
Not scored since late October. Chelsea 2-0 down, trying to keep the tempo high when they're in possession, but they still haven't forced a serious effort on goal, and I wonder how long Maresca will leave it as we start to tick towards the hour mark. Brighton leading 2-0 before there are Chelsea changes.
Well, I was just about to say that it must be frustrating for Enzo Maresca. I mean, all the money that's been spent over the last couple of years, and yet if you look at the bench, you know, the #1 attacking player, well, he came on in the first half when Noni Madueke had to come off. That's Jadon Sancho. Dewsbury Hall. Reece James we know can attack, but he's a defender.
Tyrese Cuckoo on the attack for Chelsea, left into the penalty area with Van Hecke backing off. It's a deflection on the low cross and turned behind by the retreating Veltman. It's another Chelsea corner, but totally get your point, Scott. Suddenly it doesn't feel there is a great deal of depth in this Chelsea squad with all the injuries they've got, and another one tonight for Madueke.
No, and sometimes for a manager, the best thing to do is to leave it. If you think these are your best players on the pitch, I mean, you will have to change it at some point with 20 minutes to go, but at this moment in time, they're definitely trying to attack, and Brighton just looking for the counter.
Poor in swinging corner from Enzo Fernandez, headed away by the first man Veltman. Chelsea playing from left to right, all in black. Palmer has scooped it cross-field, left to right. Box, lovely reverse ball left-footed, good header away by Van Hecke. It'll drop down towards the edge of the D, and there was a foul on Ruter and a free kick to Brighton and Hove Albion. Good spot from Chris Kavanagh, the referee. Fabian Herzler only about 10-20 yards in front of us, having a chat with the fourth official. Brighton 2, Chelsea 0 it remains. We've got Leicester against Arsenal tomorrow lunchtime as the big games keep on coming. Big at both ends of the table, 12:30 on TalkSport. At the same time on TalkSport 2, a Lancashire derby in the Championship, Preston North End against Burnley, and in fact, that's an FA Cup fifth round tie that we'll see in a couple of weeks. And at 3 o'clock on TalkSport 2, Aston Villa against Ipswich. All build up to those matches underway tomorrow morning from 6 on Weekend Sports Breakfast, where the former Chelsea striker Tony Cascarino is part of our team. There's a stoppage here while Ruter is treated.
Why are you fouling Ruter when he's facing his own goal 20 yards out and you go straight into the back of him? He's obviously got worse off and he might be okay, but as I say, I wouldn't be against Reece James coming on for him.
Augusto on his feet. Of course, they planned to leave Reece James out of the FA Cup tie last weekend. Enzo Maresca confirming that. Augusto holding his left hip it looks like, and wincing a bit on the near side touchline. Still no any sign of any imminent change for Chelsea. Nearly an hour gone. Brighton and Hove Albion 2, Chelsea 0 on TalkSport with Sky Sports. Don't forget you can stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on now, like Brighton against Chelsea live right now. Search Now Sports. Sports Bar Weekend are coming up once we're done here. Lamptey can't reach the layoff from Mitoma. Near side the Brighton left. He's got pace, Lamptey, but not that much in Chelsea throw.
No, but that was a wonderful opportunity for Brighton, because what you had is Cole Palmer with Malagusta being off the pitch, and he's only just going on now. Cole Palmer was right wing and Pedro Neto was right back. Let me tell you, very good player. He ain't no right back. And if they'd have done that right, then he would have been in down the line, Tariq Lamptey.
Gusto's still moving awkwardly here. Surely Chelsea going to have to think about bringing him off shortly. Palmer in the centre circle, quiet tonight, can't control. And Lamptey, after a very heavy touch from England's Cole Palmer, is there to send it back to Bart Verbruggen, the Brighton goalkeeper. Clearance drops on the halfway line, downward header by Lamptey into the Brighton half, and now Mitoma races down the left, away from Gusto initially, and then played a very early ball square, intercepted by Chalobah. Believers won it back off Enzo Fernandez, up to the edge of the area, punted it goalwards, took a deflection, and it's turned away. Now Danny Welbeck, left corner of the box, back to Kaoru Mitoma again. Brighton keeping up the pace of the attack, looking to make it 3-0. Lamptey's low ball, intercepted by Caicedo on the stretch. Did well to bring it down in front of Danny Welbeck, and now Chelsea should clear through Cole Palmer. Up to Pedro Neto, in front of the dugout. Sprints over the halfway line, held up by Webster, who makes a well-timed challenge, not once but twice, on Neto and on Palmer. Webster showing, just as Fabian Herzler said before the game he would do, that he's still worth his place in the Brighton side when they need it. And now Ruter with a brilliant turn, beyond 2 in Chelsea. The black shirts tonight, as Ruter nudges it to the right-hand side, and Veltman. 61 minutes gone, 2-0 to Brighton, and they actually slow the attack down and go back to the halfway line. But that sort of tenacity and hunger, and then the quality on the ball from Rutter, following the challenges from Webster, a little microcosm of exactly what, for the most part this season, once again, Brighton have been all about.
Well, they're just trying to beat the press of Chelsea, which they have done. Adam Webster, he has been superb this evening.
Karu Matoma out in this near side, the left wing position. A couple of yards in field, back to Lamptey now, at walking pace.
Yeah, and where we talked about before the game, you know, Hugh highlighted Adam Webster. And then after about 5 minutes, Cole Palmer put him on his backside, and we're thinking, OK, this is going to be an interesting game defensively for Brighton. Since then, Brighton have been excellent, and Webster's been superb, both with and without the ball. Brilliant double tackles there.
Lewis Dunk, Brighton's longest serving player, hasn't made it tonight. Here is Rutter for Brighton, left edge of the centre circle, quickly wide to the left of Mitoma. The Brighton fans get to their feet. Mitoma races to the edge of the box, tries a square pass, and it's blocked off by Guster, who tracked Mitoma all the way, in fairness. Now Welbeck's won it back. As the game goes on, it feels like Brighton are getting stronger and stronger. Welbeck, away down the right-hand side. Here he is on the edge of the penalty area. Plays it to Minter, the angle is tight. Onto the left foot. He's steered it again. 2 for Minter, 3 for Brighton. Is it going to be another fantastic win for them over Chelsea? And Chelsea really now falling apart in the game. This could be a blow to their top 4 chances. Brighton are streaking clear now. They're toying with Chelsea and turning on the style. Yankuba Minter cut inside onto the left foot, squeezed it beyond Jorgensen via the deflection, and it's Brighton 3, Chelsea 0. Just over an hour gone. Game over surely.
Well, the Chelsea players are complaining of something. Is it just a pull from on Levi Colwill? No chance. Get up, get back. And he's not doing that. He's taking ages to get back. Looking at potential offside. Minte's not offside, as he plays a little 1-2 between him and Danny Welbeck. Colwill's got to be stronger. He's complaining about a possible foul. It's your big centre half. And then get up, get back. He gets into the box, Minter, plays a 1-2 with Danny Welbeck, and then he's still able to cut inside. Mark Cucurella, who, don't get me wrong, has been brilliant for Chelsea this season, but this evening, boy, has he found it tough. It's a great goal again from Brighton's point of view. It's another really poor goal defensively. Enzo Maresca cannot believe what he's witnessing tonight. Fabian Herzler must be absolutely delighted.
Well, 3 changes for Chelsea. The Brighton fans cheer as the goals replayed again and again on the big screens. James for Gusto now, Tyreek George and Keane and Dewsbury Hall are going to come on, but it feels too late. 3-0 down, 19 minutes into the second half. Immediately there's a disagreement between Enzo Fernandez and Welbeck. James has to race across and step in front of Enzo Fernandez. It's turning into a very chastening night on the south coast once again for Chelsea. And there's Tyreek George and Kieran Dewsbury Hall wait to come off. It's Pedro Neto leaving the field. And looking at some of the gaps in the away section, are some of the Chelsea fans leaving the stadium already? With the score 3-0 to Brighton and Hove Albion. Dewsbury Hall is going to replace Moises Caicedo. That must be tough for him. Ironic cheers and boos as he goes off against his old team. Caicedo substituted with Brighton running riot against Chelsea.
Well, it would just make Brighton's night if Marco Correa get taken off. Can you imagine how the crowd would be there? And look, I know what you mean, Joe, about it's too little too late, 3 subs at 3-0, but I genuinely think he had his best 11 on the pitch. You know, maybe Reece James, but my goodness me, you've got to put him in cotton wool. It's so difficult when you think, you look at the options of the bench, and, you know, Tyreek George, still a youngster. Go on, do something now. You're 3-0 down away from home in the Premier League. Not an easy thing to do. Dewsbury Hall as well, not been a regular at all for Chelsea. Go and do something now. Now this 11 that started, you can throw in Jadon Sancho in that, at times look great, but there's such a soft underbelly. So easy to score against them. And that is something that Enzo Maresca needs to try and sort out.
And Brighton thought they'd won it back half the pitch, but that is a foul by Believer on James. Brighton 3, Chelsea 0 on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has vans of all shapes and sizes, so if you've got a plan, they've got a van. 03717 223344 Chelsea fans for the Sports Bar Weekender. Once we're done tonight, Tyrick George for Chelsea. First real touches for the 19-year-old who's made his senior debut this season. This is his 12th senior appearance. James midway inside the Brighton half feeds Palmer, but it all feels lacklustre and too late for Chelsea now. At 3-0 down, you can't see them mounting a comeback with only a quarter of the game to go. Dewsbury Hall tried a dummy, nobody there behind him to collect the ball, and Veltman scoops it up over halfway. Yankuba Minter on a hat-trick is chasing. Levi Colwell there to send it back to Jorgensen, who has had no chance with any of the goals. Now James pops the ball high up the right-hand side. Lovely way to pass towards George, who couldn't get it under control. He has managed to hold it up in front of Lamptey. Good quick feed from the slender George. Back now to James. On the near side, the Chelsea right. Chelsea's next game is a tough one. Away at Aston Villa in the Premier League next Saturday. Well, here comes Sancho for them, winning a corner off Yankuba Minter. Does feel like a damaging defeat, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, last week was bad enough, and it looked like towards the end, I know a lot of Chelsea fans even said to me that that was not good enough. They looked like they weren't trying. I do feel the first half was different. Well, certainly up until the second goal, started off really well. Again, I talk about that sort of underbelly once they go a goal, especially two behind. Never really looked like coming back into the game.
Corner drifted into the near post, headed up into the air by Veltman, nodded down by Chalobah. It could drop to Dewsbury Hall inside the penalty area amid a flurry of bodies, eventually beaten to it by Lamptey, who steers it away and out of play. Throw to Chelsea right in front of the dugout, down 3-0.
And Joe, I know a lot of money's been spent, but there's a lot of us, you know, sort of ex-players and ex-Chelsea players are saying you've got to have the senior pros in there as well. This is the youngest average starting 11 by almost 2 years in the Premier League. And when things are going against you, you need people to get the game by the scruff of the neck.
And Cuckoo's poked it down the middle towards Jadon Sancho, and Verbruggen is forced into a sprawling save from a very tight angle, and the last touch off Cucurella, who's upset with the referee. A goal kick's been given, and Verbruggen finally forced into action. 69 minutes into the match, Brighton 3, Chelsea 0.
And when I say by the scruff of the neck, you know, obviously Cole Palmer can do that, and bits of talent canvas. You just need that communication, that experience, that leadership. But they just haven't got. Again, I go back to what people were saying when they were second. Oh, they're in their shout at the title. No, they're not. It's a long season. It's a hard season. They're absolutely overachieving at the moment. You know, a lot of money spent, not enough leaders for me.
23 years, 309 days old, the average age of a Chelsea player in the starting 11 in the Premier League this season. By far the youngest side in the top flight. Jorginho Ruter's gone down. It's a head injury, so the referee has had to stop the game. And Brighton, I think, are going to get the physios on here. But it's a statement performance for all the wrong reasons, this for Chelsea, but it looks like it's going to be a statement victory for Brighton, barring a miraculous turnaround in the last 20 and a half minutes plus stoppage time. And for Brighton to respond to that 7-0 defeat to Nottingham Forest, as they have done in the last 6 days, an FA Cup win, and now looks like a big Premier League win over Chelsea, you've got to give them so much credit.
No, you have. You really have. And they would have been nervous coming into last week's game. And you can see why the Brighton fans are singing, we want to play you every week, because they've just been hammered 7-0. And then what looks like back-to-back victories against Chelsea, and this one being even more comfortable than last week.
Palmer's played the ball back to Chalobah for Chelsea. Inside his own penalty area is Colwell under pressure, and it's a loose pass towards the centre circle, and Cuckoo having to retreat very deep into his own half to hold the play up, and he's done so effectively enough. Gets the return ball from Chalobah, and maybe Chelsea can build an attack here, but they've really looked like scoring tonight, despite having had what has felt like plenty of possession over the course of the game. Brighton set up impressively off the ball, and really they have worked hard positionally to thwart Chelsea attacks. It's another long raking pass by James upfield. Great ball to find George, down by the dead ball line on the near side of the right. He's not next Tariq Lamptey. The angle is tight. Is he going to go for goal or pull it back? He's blocked off. by Webster, and that'll be a corner for Chelsea.
Well played, Tyreek George. Only a youngster, a teenager, that first of all saw the ball was up and on over the top. The ball was played to him, and then he was direct at Lamptey.
Palmer with the reverse ball, left-footed into the penalty area. The corner was taken short initially. Palmer got it back from James, and it's headed behind again for another Chelsea corner. And Diego Gomez and João Pedro stripped in, ready to come on in the blue and white of Brighton very shortly. Brighton lead Chelsea 3-0. We'll give you the latest odds via Ladbrokes in just a moment. Palmer's going to take another Chelsea corner now. One arm up into the air in front of the Chelsea supporters. Here it comes, left-footed into the near post. Not a good one, cleared away by Veltman. Chelsea set pieces have been poor today. Palmer out by the corner of the penalty area. All left foot at the moment as he looks to dart beyond Veltman again. He's forced onto his weaker right, then tries a left-footed cross after a spinning turn. Veltman's there to block it again. Looped into the area by Reece James, deep to the back post, and a towering header away by Belieber. Then back into the box by Sancho. This time Hinshelwood heads it away. Brighton deal with that aerial threat, and now here they come on the counter. It's 3 against 2. Mitoma down the left-hand side, 10 yards from the penalty area. Minter is square, another hat-trick. Mitoma shoots. Oh, and it's straight at the goalkeeper. Poor finish, and maybe a little bit selfish as well from an angle that was closing on him. Minter was screaming for the ball on a hat-trick, and it stays just 3-0 to Brighton.
Well, again, how can Chelsea be so open when they just had a corner down the other end? I mean, it was a great run for Mitoma, and I think he was looking up all the time trying to play Minte in. The last Chelsea defender was always trying to stop that ball, and no one was catching him. Chalobah was trying, Kukureya was trying, and he got just inside the box, and he's thinking, well, why not have a shot? No one's coming across to stop me. And in the end, it was just straight at the keeper. A simple save.
Here are the Brighton changes. João Pedro on in place of Jorginho Rutter. Jack Hinshelwood goes off as well, a local favourite, and Diego Gomez, who joined from Inter Miami on New Year's Day, makes his 4th Brighton appearance. All of those have been as a substitute. So Brighton 3, Chelsea 0. Those odds with Ladbrokes, you can back Brighton to win at 150 to 1 odds on. Chelsea to win at 60 to 1. The draw at 25 to 1. That's all thanks to Ladbrokes, 18 plus, gambleaware.org. So a double change for Brighton, quite a leisurely atmosphere in the stands now. Scott Minto, the home fans expect it to be pretty comfortable as a passage forward from here. As Chelsea go back to their goalkeeper, their beleaguered goalkeeper, Philip Jorgensen. QPR 4, Derby 0, the latest score in the Championship. A very difficult start for Derby's new head coach, John Eustace. They are in the thick of the Championship relegation battle. Given away by Jorgensen, straight to João Pedro, who hits it over the top from the edge of the box. Virtually empty net. Terrible error by Jorgensen, the goalkeeper. From to the right of his own goal, he kicked it straight across the penalty area to João Pedro. Really, it was a ridiculous pass from that sort of angle, and he's very lucky.
Well, you just don't do a crossfield pass when you're the last man, as if you're playing as like a number 10. As João Pedro takes the first touch, it's not the best, but actually he needs to side foot it around Levi Colwill, get it on target, and Jorgensen wouldn't have got back. In the end, he's tried to strike it, and it's gone over the bar. Chelsea need to be careful it doesn't become 4 and 5.
Well, that feels like the question of the last 15 minutes or so, plus added time. We've raced to the 75-minute mark. Brighton 3, Chelsea 0. And Brighton have been quite clinical, actually, with the chances they have had. There have not been many clear-cut opportunities in the game as Palmer's foul. About 35 yards from goal, and Chelsea get themselves a free kick. As Chelsea's FA Cup hopes ended here last weekend. A damaging night for their aspirations of the top 4. As Yankuba Minter is tripped. Enzo Maresca reminding everybody this week that the club never said the target was top 4 when he arrived. The target was that in 2 years they play Champions League football, and of course you'd expect them to go on and win the Europa Conference League this season, but standards at Chelsea in previous years have been so much higher.
Well, they have. We do have to think it's not the Chelsea under Roman Abramovich, and obviously we don't need to go there again about how such a shift in change of attitude, and where it used to be All the players were senior pros, seasoned internationals, leaders, 7 or 8 of them within the 11. So as suddenly a bunch of youngsters, a lot of money being spent, yes, sure. I'll go back to even when they were second, it was like, no, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Look, I just don't want the owner, whatever happens. I think, well, I liked Pochettino, I like Maresca, whoever the manager is, these last two, just got to give this one time now for sure.
Brighton 3, Chelsea 0. 14 minutes to go. Mitoma left wing position, always looking dangerous, and has done throughout tonight. A fantastic first goal to open the scoring, followed up by 2 from Yankuba Minter, and a handball by Tyrick George gives Brighton a free kick, level with the edge of the Chelsea 18-yard box. Brighton will be going up to 8th, and they've really boosted their goal difference tonight. Chelsea stay 4th, but Manchester City and Newcastle just behind them, both on 41, and Bournemouth on 40 points, all with a game in hand.
It's incredible. Brighton have boosted their goal difference to -1.
Yes, it's extraordinary. In fact, Scott, I have to tell you, it's actually 0 now. It's not even negative goal difference anymore. So, we're almost losing count of the scoreline at the moment. It's 3-0 to Brighton. Yankuba Minter, who scored 2 of them, will take this left-wing free kick. Whips it left-footed into the penalty area, headed over the top by João Pedro, who has come on the number 9 and had 2 very decent chances in the space of just a few minutes to make it a rout.
Well, could easily have been 4 and 5, and as I say, Chelsea do really need to be careful of that. Look, I mean, you know, if you look at the stats in terms of shots on target, Brighton have only had 4 on target, so they've been absolutely clinical, but Chelsea haven't had 1 yet. That's not right.
The Sports Bar Weekender is coming next. 03717 22 344 to have your say on tonight's football. Brighton fans, Chelsea fans, what have you made of what you've seen and heard? A great night for Brighton, who've really rediscovered their Premier League form. Back-to-back defeats in the top flight, but it's going to be back-to-back wins in all competitions over Chelsea.
My internet has just updated as well. Yeah, you're right. Goal difference 0.
Chelsea, you conceded 3 away at Manchester City, and again, a couple of those goals in farcical circumstances as well.
Listen, there's not a wrong, or there's not a lot I believe Enzo Maresca can do. You set up a team, you have patterns of play, you want your players to do certain things, and they do, but in the big moments, talk about both boxes, what's really important. I don't believe, especially with Nicholas Jackson being injured now, that they're good enough going forward. Christopher Nkunku hasn't really had any service, but when he has, he's not really been able to hold the ball up, and certainly not been able to run the channels. But defensively is the biggest one for me. Can't necessarily blame Jurgensen for tonight, but 2 centre-halves, just don't think they're strong enough. Levi Colwill, I still think it's Trevor Chalobah who's the better of the 2.
Here come Chelsea with James, 25 yards out, right of centre. George on the overlap with the first-time cross. That's going to be headed away by Diego Gomez, and then thundered clear by Belieber. Yes, there are defensive headaches for Enzo Maresca to try and resolve, aren't there? 2 clean sheets in 20 in the Premier League for Chelsea.
But the players have to take responsibility. You know, there's only so much a manager can do. Set them up. This is what I want you to do. This is what they do. Be careful of this. Try this. Let's practice this in training.
Well, and he's looked as exasperated as any Chelsea fan tonight with what he's seen.
Absolutely, and then it's down to the players. So again, I go back to recruitment. I don't believe the recruitment has been good enough, because they've been going all the time for just youngsters, and maybe in 2 or 3 years we may be looking and saying, look at Chelsea now, but at this moment in time, and it's happened for the last couple of seasons now, it's not been good enough. There's soft underbelly.
Cucurella's got a bouncing ball to deal with here on the edge of his own area. He's been beaten to it by Minter, who's on a hat-trick. The flag is up as Cucurella tries to wrestle the ball off Minter. Cucurella is really pumped up here at the ground where he used to play, and 10 minutes to go, and his team are 3 goals to 0 down.
Yeah, but you know, the Brighton fans might be making fun of him, but he cares. You can see he cares. I'm not saying the other players don't care, but he's absolutely one of those seasoned internationals. He is a leader in his own way. Not necessarily, you know, an absolute captain, but we know what he's doing for his club. We know what he's done for his country. You can see him trying all the time, both going forward and defensively, and I just don't think Chelsea have enough players that are capable of doing that.
Yassin Ayari is going to come on for Brighton very shortly. He's only about 10 rows in front of us. Blue number 26 on the back of the white shirt. Brighton have it with Lamptey coming across from the left-back position to a central defensive area and feeding Mitoma, who squeezes the ball cross-field. It's a miskick by Veltman. Sancho's won it back for Chelsea. Goes backwards to Cucurella. Still the relentless boos from the Brighton fans. Kieran Dewsbury Hall has nudged the ball square to Palmer. And then given away by Enzo Fernandez yet again. João Pedro trying to burst all the way through the middle. Past 2 Chelsea players, but not beyond the third in the shape of Colwell, and Chelsea have it back in the centre circle. They're trying to keep the tempo high, Chelsea, but it's all too late now. Just over 8 minutes of normal time to go, and they're 3-0 down. Matt O'Reilly will come on for Brighton shortly too.
Yeah, look, it's game over. Brighton have won this, and Chelsea have definitely lost it. But Chelsea need to show that they will still fight. Fight for the fans that have travelled, fight for the fans that are watching and listening. It's just not been good enough.
Palmer's been blocked off by Belieber. Even he's been quiet tonight. Cole Palmer never looked like adding to his 14 goals this season. Good ball by Belieber. Up to the left of Mitoma. Quick ball squared infield to Welbeck. 5 yards from the edge of the D. Now Diego Gomez slows the game down under pressure. Prods it back to the halfway line. Brighton ready to make those 2 changes shortly. The giant Webster fouled on halfway by Palmer, and that's a free kick. Brighton's next game away at the bottom club Southampton. In a tough game here against Bournemouth. As they make these changes, Danny Welbeck will leave the field, and he will get a standing ovation tonight. A stand-in skipper in the absence of the boyhood Chelsea fan, ironically, Lewis Dunk. And the other player going off is Belieber. So it is Ayari and O'Reilly who are the 2 to come on.
Yeah, look, well done, Danny Welbeck. He's not found it easy tonight, but at times when he's needed to be almost that wall pass for the 2 wide players coming in, the 3rd goal being the perfect example of that. He's done what he's had to do. And well done to all the players for Brighton. You know, coming into these games against Chelsea, absolutely you can't believe how difficult it is coming off the back of a 7-0 defeat. And what's your reaction? You know, 1-0 down last week against Chelsea, found a way to get through to the FA Cup 5th round, and then tonight, after what was a good start from the Blues, they just avoided. It was absolute. Chelsea still looking for this first shot on target.
Scott Minto with us in the commentary box. We've just had a Brighton legend, Bobby Zamora, walk past us on his way, heading for the exit. And a lot of Chelsea fans have now left the stadium. You can't blame them. And it's a trip on a Friday night. Valentine's night has been a horrible one for Chelsea fans. João Pedro scampers down the left for Brighton. They're not finished yet. 3-0 up with just over 5.5 minutes to go. Yassin Ayari digs the ball into the box. Veltman is in! He's hit the post from very close range. Well, Brighton should have scored more as Ayari curls one over the top. Chelsea are lucky that it's only 3.
Well, I didn't say it in jest, but I meant it seriously. Do not concede 4 and 5. Very nearly. Great run from Veltman. He was onside as well. It's Reece James keeping him onside. He lets it bounce and just flicks it with the outside of his right foot. It's only 6 yards out. It's a wonderful ball over the top. Did you ever get a touch on that?
Maybe a slight touch with his left hand. Sort of starfishing in front of Veltman. Long ball thundered downfield by Enzo Fernandez. Header away by Van Hecker for Brighton from midway inside his own half. And the Brighton fans in good voice all around the ground, and why not? Leading by 3 goals to 0. Diego Gomez looking to race over halfway. Tyreek George is there to track back and win it for Chelsea. We know within 5 matches away from home in the Premier League now for Chelsea. And there teams behind them who are hunting their spot in the top four. Reverse ball down the middle, headed away by Van Hekke for Brighton, and now Webster with a little flick from Gomez towards halfway, not the best of flicks. James is there to intercept, goes back to Colwill, who goes all the way back to the goalkeeper. Lots more to come this weekend on the TalkSport network, a bumper weekend. Leicester against Arsenal and Aston Villa against Ipswich, our Premier League commentaries tomorrow. And just download the TalkSport app and you can swipe between both stations as and when you need to over the course of the day. Champions League next week and more Premier League football as well. Here come Chelsea with Jadon Sancho, left corner of the penalty area. Cucurella on the underlap, pulls it back, missed kick by Palmer and then steered away by Gomez. Brighton hunting what would be just the second clean sheet ever against Chelsea in the Premier League. Second in 16 matches it would be, and they probably deserve the clean sheet with 3.5 minutes plus added time to go. And Fabian Herzler is jumping up and down like it's still 0-0.
Right, I'm just going to refresh my internet.
Right.
I'm looking at shots on goal. It's not just a clean sheet for Brighton, not a shot on target yet for Chelsea.
Tyrick George in behind though down the right. He's pulled it back and the goalkeeper makes a good save. It came off Webster. Nearly an own goal and Verbruggen is there to turn it away. Good reactions from Brighton's number one.
Yeah, that's a good ball over the top. And Tyrick George, since he's come on, he's impressed me. He's looked for that ball over the top all the time. Running in behind Tariq Lamptey, gets to the byline, gets the ball back. That's a really good save, that. Would have been an own goal for Adam Webster, who I think has been superb tonight.
Corner taken short, Palmer to James, corner of the box, back to Palmer, left-footed reverse ball, bounces at the back post, nobody can get there. And several more Chelsea fans turn away now and head down the steps towards the concourse areas. And again, when you're a travelling supporter and you paid the money, I think you're perfectly entitled to express your disappointment by leaving the game early. They are well backed on the road, are Chelsea, and it may prove to be a bump in the road perhaps, but since the weekend before Christmas, if you include tonight, 2 wins in 9 in the Premier League. That is not the form that is going to get you near the European positions, anywhere near it.
No, absolutely not. I think it's almost just the disappointment of starting the season so well and doing so well up until sort of mid-December, just before Christmas. If it had been almost the other way around, it'd say, well, okay, you can understand this with another new manager in place. Got to find a way to stop the rot, get a win, try and get back-to-back wins. It's still very much in Chelsea's hands to do it, Joe, for sure.
Standing ovation for Yankuba Minter, the man who scored the second and third Brighton goals, both from close range, both perhaps aided by poor defending, but he finishes his night on a hat-trick and Simon Adingra will come on.
And do you know what, again, talk about moments, Ruud Gullit used to say it when he was Chelsea manager, I just wanted to do 2 things in a game that can affect a game, and boy has he done just that. Go back to that shots on goal as we're coming up towards the 89th minute now, or 90th minute. 5 shots on goal from Brighton, 3 goals. Does that not count as a shot on goal, that Adam Webster?
Well, I think because it came off a Brighton player, it doesn't actually go down. It would have been an own goal, definitely, yeah, from George's cutback. Webster's been excellent tonight for Brighton, thrust into the action in place of Lewis Dunk again. Knows his role at the club these days, isn't going to play every week, but another dependable Brighton performer.
He will do if he keeps on playing like that.
Yes, that's true. Might get a run in the team now. Brighton 3, Chelsea 0, last 20 seconds of normal time. Tyrick George for Chelsea, couldn't keep the ball in play, headed away by James, throw to Brighton in the left wing position. And the stadium actually is emptying out all over at the moment. Lots of blue seats starting to appear. 03717 22 33 Chelsea fans, if you're already in the car, call TalkSport, the sports bar weekender. You can have your say. We'll hear from Enzo Maresca after the game, and Fabian Herzler, the Brighton boss, as well. There are 6 added minutes at the end of the match. Headed by Cucurella straight to João Pedro. Brighton arguably might feel a little disappointed they haven't scored more than just 3 with a couple of the chances that they've had. Strange as it is to say that, Scott, because Chelsea have had long periods of possession in the game.
Yeah, and I think that sums Chelsea up, really. A lot of good footballers, but how many can actually see how to win? How many can be a John Terry and make sure you keep a clean sheet? How many can be a Didier Drogba and score important goals at the right time? And look, I'm picking two players, iconic players of the Premier League and also Chelsea's history. So that's slightly unfair, but you get my point. There's not enough defensively or going forward. They're just a bunch of good footballers, but don't quite know how to win matches of football. Not on a consistent basis in the Premier League anyway.
Scott Minto, former Chelsea defender, with us tonight. Last 5 minutes of added time at the end of the game, as George does well for Chelsea to elude two in blue and white and keep possession. He squeezed it infield to Reece James in front of the two centre-halves, gives it to Colwell, and now Cucurella standing in the left-back position. Boos from moment one, right to the very end, right to the 96th minute. Crossfield ball by Enzo Fernandez, left to right, swinging into the path of George in front of that half-empty away end. George with a low cross, turned away at the near post by Webster for Brighton. Now Gomez plays a really poor ball, overhit down the middle. No chance for João Pedro to get after that. Chelsea have it back again, but it's just a case of playing out time now with 4 minutes of added time to go. A lot of the questions in the build-up were, of course, about how both teams would react to the fourth round of the FA Cup last weekend. Chelsea looked very bright early on, Scott, but couldn't take that possession and territory and turn it into goals. Then we saw a wonderful goal scored by Kaoru Mitoma, and Chelsea never really recovered.
No, they didn't. Fair play to Brighton. I mean, not only have they been clinical going forward, I think they've been superb without the ball.
Here they come again. Tyrick Lamptey into the penalty area with a left-footed shot wide. Looking to score against his old team. Slightly under pressure. And again, the angle was against him. Would have been difficult to beat Jorgensen at his near post, and it's a goal kick.
Yeah, but it shows the confidence of Brighton players now. You've got your full-back, your left-back, who's right-footed, bombing on in the last minute when you're 3-0 up, fancying a goal.
Palmer standing in the right-back position for Chelsea to Chalobah, and now Colwell again for Chelsea. He missed 2 Premier League matches this season, the 21-year-old. Chelsea comfortably beaten tonight. Cucurella far side the left, quick ball up the far touchline, Veltman there to intercept. I guess if you're a Brighton player or a Brighton coach, you're loving it at the moment, Scott. You know the game's won, you can enjoy the last few minutes. It's a very different feeling for Enzo Maresca.
No, absolutely. And these Brighton fans can go home and, if their partners are asleep, wake them up. Say happy Valentine's. I'm very happy.
Hecker back to goalkeeper Verbruggen. He will clear, right-footed to the left-back area. Mitoma beaten to it by James. Now Lamptey retreating, has to hook it over his shoulder up into the air. A flick by Mitoma. The olays from the Brighton fans. Who would have thought it would come to this again? Chelsea, 4-2 winners in the Premier League at Stamford Bridge earlier on in the season, but Brighton have more than exacted revenge over less than a week. There are only 2 minutes for Chelsea supporters left to have to endure. Still plenty left in the season, of course, for Chelsea, but the 3 sides behind them will certainly have the chance to try and overtake them in the race for 4th spot this weekend. George out on the right, midway inside the Chelsea half. Enzo Maresca stands on the edge of the technical area, hands in his pockets, looks back towards the dugout.
I mean, you look at Brighton now defending without the ball, still with their 5-4-1, still chasing as much as possible. João Pedro pushing and putting pressure on Enzo Fernandez, who's dropped right back in. It's just really, really good play from Brighton, as I say, with and without the ball.
Has finished QPR 4, Derby 0 in the Gibson. So John Eustace's side heavily beaten by Queen's Park Rangers live on TalkSport 2. And of course, as well as the chasing pack in the Premier League in the race for 4th, it's a good night in terms of this result for Nottingham Forest, to sit in 3rd position, 4 points clear of Chelsea. Forest, I believe, are away to Fulham tomorrow, and you'll have updates of that as we go around the grounds on TalkSport with Adrian Durham from 2:30, a classified check at 5 o'clock as well.
I'll be there at the cottage.
You'll be there, will you?
There.
That is going to be an interesting game.
Very interesting.
Fulham have got European ambitions. They're
Absolutely.
there with Brighton in and around that 7th to 10th cluster of teams. And Brighton have maybe really reignited their Premier League season, maybe their whole season in the last week or so. After losing 7-0 at Nottingham, that feels a long time ago. They've got it down by the corner flag. There's only a few seconds to go now. And though Chelsea have a free kick, once they've taken it, that will probably be the last of the action. It is! Over Chelsea. And Brighton fans are left wishing they could play Chelsea every week. The way the last 6 days have gone, Chelsea just can't wait to leave the Amex Stadium behind. A potentially damaging result for their hopes of finishing in the Champions League places. Chelsea largely all at sea defensively tonight, and they've barely created anything. The game had totally gone by the time Brighton made it 3-0 just after the hour mark through Yankuba Minter, his second of the game, both resulting from poor Chelsea defending. But you have to give credit to Brighton and Hove Albion. Resurgent after the last 6 days, they are right back in the fight for European football themselves. Kaoru Mitoma opening the scoring with one of the takes in terms of control of the season so far, and a finish to match, curling it away from the Chelsea goalkeeper Philip Jorgensen. Chelsea looked, but after the first goal it felt like they never recovered, and they've lost yet another player, an attacking player in the shape of Noni Madueke, to injury. The Chelsea end is already almost empty. The Brighton fans are dancing in the stands tonight. Brighton 3, Chelsea 0.